Tonight's lead, smear factor. The health care law is helping millions of Americans. So what does Investigator-in-Chief Congressman Darrell Issa do? Try to gin up a health care scandal. He's on an ObamaCare road trip, holding one-sided hearings, trashing the law. His latest hearing in Texas was an excuse for Republicans to attack the so-called health care navigators who explain the law's provisions and help people sign up.
The purpose of Navigators is to explain Obamacare to people and facilitate enrollment into coverage.
Who are these navigators and what is their role?
I'm concerned that the navigators are not properly vetted or trained.
Unfortunately, this area is also ground zero of some of the problems that are beginning to appear with the navigators.
We cannot have a repeat of the ACORN-like activities that led to too many people believing that there was something for nothing.
ACORN-like activities? Congressman Issa never misses a chance to bring up ACORN, the community organizing group that folded after right-wing attacks. Here's what's going on. The same right-wing group that smeared ACORN released videos claiming to show healthcare navigators telling people to lie about their income when they apply for insurance. If that's true, it was wrong. But government officials say they took immediate action. The navigators on that video were decertified and later suspended. The agency that employed them increased training, and the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services promised to make unannounced visits to the agency to check up on them. If there was a problem, it was handled. But Congressman Issa doesn't care about that. He doesn't care that navigators are helping people sign up for health care. And one Texas group says Issa didn't want to hear from them.
Several navigators actually requested to testify at today's hearing and were denied access. This hearing today really is a witch hunt.
A witch hunt. This is the Issa playbook of controlling hearings to make it one-sided. Need further proof that this hearing was a joke? When Congressman Issa didn't like an answer about health care website security, listen to this. He told the witness, quote, "You need to watch more Fox, I'm afraid." Watch more Fox? That's his suggestion in a congressional hearing? You'd probably see a whole lot of Congressman Issa talking up his phony scandal of the month. Maybe Benghazi or Fast and Furious or Solandran or the IRS. And let's remember the guy holding these hearings. Remember what he said about President Obama 3 years ago.
He has been one of the most corrupt presidents in modern times.
Issa later tried to walk that back, but he made his point. Just don't expect us to take his hearings seriously. Joining me now, Congressman Emanuel Cleaver, Democrat of Missouri, and MSNBC.com executive editor Richard Wolff. Thank you both for being here.
Thanks, Reverend.
Yeah, good to be here, Reverend.
Congressman, that Texas group called Darrell Issa's hearing a witch hunt. What do you make of his health care hearings?
Well, it's not a health care hearing, and you called the roll earlier about all of the hearings that have been held that really produce nothing. In spite of all of the charges, all of the allegations from those hearings, nobody's ever been indicted. Nobody's ever even been held in contempt of Congress for perjury. And so here's the problem. You can go around the country, you can frighten people. Most people are trying to live their lives, particularly during this holiday season. And so they're not going to go out and read 2 or 3 sources to get information. They're going to listen to the things that are being said by a member of Congress that is frightening. They have no idea that while we had a bumpy start, the Affordable Care Act now is moving and moving rather smoothly, and maybe that's what the fear is.
Well, I think that is what the problem is here, Richard. is that his target is health care. He's just not a guy just out there with an aimless witch hunt. They want to derail health care. Sure they do. And now that these glitches and problems, as the congressman says, bumpy start, is starting to smooth out, here we go with the hearings. A Texas nonprofit says they weren't allowed to testify at the hearing yesterday. We also saw protesters when Congressman Issa held health care hearings in North Carolina. Listen to this.
I'm here because I want to have an opportunity to put out the positive, wonderful benefits that the Affordable Care Act offers millions of people in this country.
The House committee that's meeting is not telling both sides of the story.
I formally requested to testify at this committee on time, in writing, as they requested. I was still denied.
So you're having congressional hearings to get information, but you only want to hear one side, Richard? I mean, clearly, do they think these people and the total information, and the positive and negative, can be ignored?
Well, they've scared a lot of people for a long time about Obamacare, and they're very worried that as people figure out what's actually in this legislation, they will find that the law becomes more and more popular. But let's just remember that this is an abuse of the congressional hearing concept. Like, hearings can be information gathering. They can be investigative. That's what Darrell Issa is supposed to be doing. This is neither. This is congressional hearings as propaganda to try and drive local news. You know, getting on the local news is not something unusual. Congressmen do it all the time. But generally, in a real hearing, in a real field hearing, you're trying to get what the real story is on the ground. You would be open to both sides. That's not what this is. This is about web video hits and Fox News clips. Now,
people need to understand, as you say this, Richard, he's the head of the investigative committee, right, so he could just call these hearings. And you're saying that when I said that these were, quoting the person saying it's a witch hunt, when Congressman Cleaver was saying there's been no prosecution, no indictments, right, you're saying they're not after that. They're after the evening news. They're after putting videos on the internet. This is all about politics.
It's about getting attention for this. There is a legitimate role for an investigative committee. Absolutely. Democrats have done it to Republican presidents. Right. That's not what this is. He could have interviewed the people overseeing the Navigators in D.C. They're trying to get out into the field in Republican areas to get on the evening news and make some publicity. That's not a hearing. That's just that's a press release.
Congressman, let me go back to you. You were talking about how he's done this over and over as the head of the Oversight Committee. And let's remember, he promised to hold hundreds of hearings when he took over that committee, always looking for scandals. The most famous one may be Fast and Furious, when he went after the Attorney General. But he also tried to turn Benghazi into a scandal. He attacked green energy loans to Solandra, said the IRS was targeting the president's political enemies. None of these phony scandals have stuck. So will he try to make something out of the health care law, Congressman Cleaver?
I think he's going to go the same route he's gone historically. He'll go and try to stir up things. Remember, this committee has the subpoena power that is extremely important, as Richard said, for Congress. We need to investigate. And so I think he's going to talk about this as long as he can. He did that with everything else. And then at some point, he'll start investigating Mickey Mouse or Tweety Bird or somebody else. The point is, these are not real hearings. And I don't mind him doing it. If he would say, look, we want to go out into the country and try to find some people who can tell us things they don't like about the Affordable Care Act. Right. And then I want you to listen to me tell you some things that I don't like. Because, I mean, what is the point? I mean, what is he trying to do? Is he trying to help the president, or is he trying to do damage? Is he trying to discourage people? And I think it's the latter. They want to discourage people, get people not to sign up, so then they can jump on the bandwagon that people are not interested.
You know, Richard, the only Democratic congressman at the Texas hearing talked about the real scandal with the health care law. Listen to this.
I hope that we can talk about a much more significant problem, and that is why our governor, Rick Perry, is refusing to expand the state's Medicaid program. And why he is doing that, I can only imagine that it's for purely political reasons.
Now, Governor Perry is refusing the Medicaid expansion for purely political purposes, and it's hurting the real people on the ground. It's denying insurance to more than 1 million Texans, and nationwide, Republicans are denying insurance to 4.8 million Americans, Richard. How can you take a health care hearing in Texas seriously when they don't address that issue?
Yeah, remember, these are Republicans who, in theory, worry about the cost of this kind of thing. Uninsured Americans put a greater cost burden on the rest of us because they don't go untreated. They put a burden on every single hospital. There are many big hospital companies in the Texas area donating to Republicans who need to be putting pressure and saying, not only is this the right thing to do generally, but it actually is the right thing economically for the Texas healthcare system.
Let's hold it right there, Congressman Emanuel Cleveland, Richard Wolff. Thank you both for your time tonight.
Thank you, Reverend.
Good to be with you, Rev.
Coming up, they obstruct, they block, and they threaten. But today, some big progress. Why now is the time to keep fighting for fairness? And too rich to jail? The overwhelming response to a drunk teen using the affluenza defense to get away with killing 4 and paralyzing 1. A victim's brother wants justice. He joins me live tonight. Plus, did Chris Christie shut down part of the George Washington Bridge for political payback? He was laughing about it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I worked the cones, actually, Matt. Unbeknownst to everybody, I was actually the guy out there.
That guy with the cone, he isn't laughing now. People are resigning and serious questions are emerging. And what is President Obama getting for Christmas? The First Lady spilled the beans. Stay with us.